All right, guys. Welcome back to Tomboy Official. Welcome back to the podcast. We're still in this My Queer Dating series. And today I'm wanting to talk about kind of like do I want to I don't want to okay, so if I say marriage, I'm not in a stage where I'm trying to get married to anybody right now. But I kind of want to talk about the concept of marriage a little bit. Now, people might not know that I have straight friends. I have a lot of cis straight friends, and that's cool, They're totally allies, Me and them talk about dating, not each other, but we talk about, our dating lives. We hang out, I hang out with a lot of my female friends with their partners. A lot of them, maybe when we met, they weren't really dating somebody, and now they're dating somebody. And a lot of these guys, I've kind of gotten to know them, and we get along good. I feel like I get along good with everybody's male partners. And then, I don't see anybody having any concerns with me being alone with their woman, either if it's like crashing at a hotel or hanging out just alone in their apartment or the pool or the beach or spending time together and things like that. I haven't really seen any concern with that. And so, we usually have a fun time. It's usually a good time. Nobody's hassling anybody. Like, nobody ever hassles. I don't feel like any of my friends are hassling like that. We all get along good. We're all respectful. Like, I don't find myself having sexual interest in my straight female friends. Like, I mean, I have a lot of attractive friends. I find most of my friends to be, good-looking, attractive people. I can't name any that I would say, oh, like, no. Especially if I was, like, trying to tell somebody else, like, hey, like, you should date this person, like, they're good-looking. I feel like everybody I know, I would be like, yeah, like, they're cute, they look nice, Everyone I know cares for their health, there's nothing about them that's really, like, unattractive that I would say, but I'm not attracted to them, if that makes sense. Like, I just think that they have attractive qualities and that, we're friends, but it's not confusing, like, on a sexual level. And, there is this kind of, I mean, I don't know how to say this without sounding like weird, but I do, value having like emotional intimacy with my friends, if that makes sense. Guy friends, lady friends, non-binary friends, trans friends. I value that. Like, so I'm not going to say that that's not there, but I don't think it's like in a form of cheating or anything like that. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is, when I have friends who are kind of going on that, cis, straight, kind of hetero path of, okay, we're settled in our work now and in our careers, and we're dating, and then we might move in with one another, and then we're gonna, kind of have this life together with one another and get married. I kind of see that being reflected in how they kind of interact with me. Like, they don't seem to think that my relationships are less than, or that they're, like, not valid because it's different than theirs. But I do kind of see this, like, people not fully understanding, what I'm doing, how I'm dating. They kind of see things like, oh, that's not working out. It seems like it's not working out. Like, in their minds, it's not working out in some of the dating situations. Like, it appears to not be working out just because of how we are, how we date. So, for example, the casual dating, I'm not really going to say like the sleeping around, like that's, but that can sometimes be a part of it. But I don't really like tell them about, I mean, I don't know, maybe I do. I don't know, but I'm not like doing that at the moment. I don't think. I mean, like I mentioned before, it could happen at any time. So I mean, that door is open. I'm not like closing the door or anything, being like, no, no more. It's like, no, like, if I meet somebody and that comes up, then that's how it's going to be. And I'm chill with it. Just at this very second, there's not like an invitation or like an opportunity or, somebody in my mind where I'm like, oh, we're going to hook up. That's like planned or like that I can foresee, but I'm also not rejecting the, if it comes my way, I'm not going to reject it. So that's one thing. I've noticed kind of like I just feel like it's kind of hard to have that conversation, with my straight friends, being like, I'm okay, like I feel like sometimes they worry, or maybe, and like they're concerned, or like they see things as like, oh, that must be like frustrating for you, or that must be a bummer, or like, oh, sorry that you guys aren't like a solid like official couple. And sometimes I'm just like, dude, I don't even mind if we're not like official. Like, I'm chill with this. Like, sometimes I'm really just like in it and I'm having a good time, and then they're over there like kind of apologizing, and I'm like, but I'm having fun. And then they're like, oh, but like, like, sorry that it's not, going, some kind of way, I guess, that they have in their mind, which seems to be kind of like, it seems to be like, sorry, it's not going towards marriage, or it's not going towards some like exclusive, permanent, long-term relationship. I feel like that's kind of like the standard for a lot of my friends, which is fine. But, I mean, I'm not against that, but I'm also not likely to avoid dating somebody just because that's not really what aligns with their plans with how we're interacting with one another. Like, I'm fine to kind of go out on dates with somebody, keep it casual, even if it's a poly thing, even if it's a we're in different cities and we're just meeting when we can kind of thing, even if we're just like hook up now and then and just see what happens kind of thing. I'm not like opposed to that kind of thing. To me, it's still valid, it's still important, it's still a deep connected relationship, even if it is maybe temporary or a little bit fleeting. I don't really discount it and say, like, oh, but we're not trying to get married, or at least to the point where we're like living together and engaged or whatever. Like, we're not working towards that, and so there's a problem. Or, like, I don't want it to come across like, like, I'm not saying I don't have any attachment issues. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. But I don't want it to come across like, okay, the only reason why I'm dating and it looks like this is because I have these issues with attachment, which I feel like that's not accurate. That's just not true. It's a choice. I make the choice to date people that there's a spectrum of types of people that I'm willing to date, and sometimes they don't want to be, married. Sometimes they don't want that deeper kind of connectedness, longer term, forever. And I'm fine with that, I'm fine with that. I mean, do I have in mind ideally how I want things to look? I mean, I would say I would want a long-term partner. Whether that's a life partner or not, I don't know. The reason I say I don't know is because I could go kind of either way about it. Like, I'm okay with it not being long term. I'm okay with it being like a shorter term interaction. Like, for example, I'm in LA. I've been in LA since about June of 2022. It's now October of 2022. I'm not going to say that I haven't seen a single person since I've been out this way, but, I'm also not, like forcing it, I guess. So I guess one way I've described it to people is for things not needing to be long term leading to marriage for me. But also, like, when I'm dating someone, if it's gonna be something longer term, I have to be realistic, right? So certain things, like if they have a career path that's just not gonna mesh up with mine, or a school path that's gonna lead to a career path where it's not gonna line up with them even living in the same city. Like, say for example, if I have a friend or a person that I'm going out with, and they're gonna go get a PhD and they're gonna move to like Indianapolis or something, and it's like, okay, like they're gonna be there for at least 4 to 6 years, but why would I not date them before they move? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, if I like them, why not be together? And then if you move, and then you just move, it's kind of like, I don't see anything wrong with that. I'd rather get into it than not get into it, and that's kind of a choice I make on my own end. Well, between the two of us, but it's kind of a choice that we both kind of know what's going to happen. It's not like it's a surprise. Or, if somebody's like really horrible with their money or with their health, and things like that. Like, I don't consider that to be something that I would really want to put up with on a permanent basis. So when I kind of, for me, that's kind of like only the real red flags with me for the most part, is people who just aren't attentive to their health, and people who aren't attentive to their finances and just impulsive with everything all around. Like, I need somebody who's grounded in themselves too, that kind of like has things together. Of course, none of us is going to be 100% on point all the time. Everyone kind of has like times when things are going to fluctuate, and I understand that. And then also, myself included. And also, if I'm not like in an exclusive relationship, like, I don't see myself being in a poly relationship long term. Like a life partner that's like a poly, really, like, if somebody I'm with is already with somebody and they already have a partner, I don't really see myself being long term with that person. Like, as a life partner type of situation, or a long term partner kind of situation. It's kind of like, yeah, it's fun and I like it, but usually that's where I'm gonna be like, like, if I don't mind dating poly people, but I just mean if someone's already like in a committed partnership and they're like married, for example, I don't see myself being long term with that person. So that's kind of just those things. I'm still willing to kind of date people with those situations going on, knowing that, this is just kind of what we're doing for right now. And I feel like, sometimes I have straight friends that don't really understand that or see that those types of dating scenarios, and they're just kind of like, either they feel bad about it or they feel like I'm stressed about it. Like, but I know that they kind of notice that is something that I will kind of, date people that I'm not gonna likely be in a long-term relationship with. And I don't know, it seems to kind of bother them. Not bother, but it seems like they get concerned about it. Like, I don't feel like I get like ultra like heartbroken either. Like, I'm not like, oh, like this person, like, I know they're moving and I'm so like, of course I have emotions and feelings about it, but it's like, I'm not usually like, oh, like, like, yeah, I know that it's expected that they're gonna go, or that it's expected that I'm gonna move, or that it's expected that, eventually this fling is gonna die down, and I'm cool with it, and I do kind of talk to people on a longer term, and just not always. I'm not just exclusively looking for that. So I don't know, maybe some people see it as like, oh, why are you wasting your time and energy? Or maybe people think that I'm like frustrated or sad or disappointed that it didn't work out or whatever. But usually I kind of know what to expect when I'm getting into something, and I'm fine with it as it is. So that's something that I kind of notice. I'm not sure if other people who aren't straight kind of have those kind of experiences with their straight friends. Like, I remember listening to Brianne Williamson talking on Ashley Gavin's podcast when she was co-hosting, talking about I think it was the second episode that was recorded with Mac Injemy, and they were recording. There was a comment about how Mac is really kind of like close with their sister, and then how Brienne is also close with her sister, and that, Brienne having this experience with the sister being, a cis straight woman with a baby, with a newborn, or a pregnancy or something like that, and a marriage and all these kind of things, and and had a wedding and all these kinds of things, where it's like there's all these stages that people go through with these milestones, with the dating and the marriage and the baby shower and the babies and the child's birthdays and all this kind of stuff. And it's like when your life doesn't really when in your life you're not really doing that, oftentimes I think it gets a little complex for people to try to like see what you're doing and still be like, oh, like you still have serious relationships, you still care about people in your relationships, you're still, in good standing with your partners, you're still, they see it like, oh, you're not trying to get married, you're not trying to have kids, you're not trying to buy a house together, so you're just playing around for now, like you're just playing around. And I feel like when you kind of don't think like that, or when you date people who also don't think like that, or when you're kind of just like in relationships with people and you're valuing those relationships, you're valuing your time together, and to you it's important, it can be a little complex of a set of emotions to try to deal with when you have friends and people who are like allies, but also they kind of just don't get that. They're trying to be supportive of your dating and stuff, but then they kind of don't get it. Like they're not getting that you can still be happy, or they're not understanding that you're still enjoying yourself, and you're still enjoying your time with the person or people that you're seeing and all these kinds of things. Like they kind of see it like, oh, like you must be like disappointed or like heartbroken or something, and it's kind of like, no, I'm not. Like when I think about it, it's like, yeah, I look forward to going out on dates and seeing people and doing this kind of stuff, and in those times together. And sometimes I just notice that people label it differently, and they seem to get a little concerned with it, and it's like, oh man, I wish you weren't concerned about this, because it's not bothering me. But it's kind of hard to like explain all that to people sometimes, and that's an experience that comes up for me pretty often, is just people just not being able to like wrap their head around why you do things the way you do it, what you're doing, all the moving pieces in your life and in your the people you date, their lives. Just as a queer person, you have all these different things that go on where you also don't have the same rules. Your rules are different. You have different kind of rules. You don't have the same exact I guess rules. You're kind of you can still have relationships that matter and that count, without it having to be like based on this kind of like traditional thinking of you have to be in an exclusive monogamous married relationship and having kids and owning a house to actually be considered to have like a solid relationship with somebody. And I get the same messages from some of my queer friends too. Like sometimes they're kind of like, oh, are you dating anybody? And it's kind of like, like define dating, it's like a lot, like I don't know, like I think like not that long ago I kind of slipped up in something I was trying to explain to some friends without purposely doing it. Like I wasn't trying to like lie to people, but they overheard me talking to another friend when I was saying that I was dating somebody and we were going out and I was like really into this person. And my friend was asking me like, well, if this person ends up moving for work, like, would you move with them? And I'm like, well, theoretically speaking, like, yeah, I'd give it a try. I'd move. Like, I don't want to move. Like, I know where I want to live and I know where I want to stay, but I would definitely want to be with this person too, so it would be an option on the table. And so I think they overheard that part of the conversation. People started congratulating me, saying like, "Oh, like congratulations." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." Like I don't know, you know, and we're all drinking and drunk and whatever. And so that went on to like maybe a couple months later, where people were like, "Oh, you can invite them to this Christmas thing, or there's New Year's thing, or this other kind of thing like around February, or some like birthdays type of situations, and then some other upcoming things where they're just like, oh, you can have them over whenever you want, and I'm just kind of like, oh, but we're not like together, like we're dating, we go out, it's like this poly relationship where this person has a partner already and they're married, and I'm there and we're together and we go out on dates, but we're not, you know I'm not bringing them as my date to other functions and stuff, like, that's not too much what we're doing. And I feel like that's kind of hard to explain to somebody too, where it's kind of like, I can still be going out on dates with somebody, but it's not really somebody that I'm trying to like integrate into my life fully, into other aspects of my life. This whole like integration thing is another big thing that comes up, is like integrating that person in the relationship into the friendships. It's not really something that I tend to do too often. I have done that probably twice. One was very short term. Another was a little longer term. But yeah, like it's just kind of different dealing with the kind of traditional societal expectations, and when you're kind of like open-minded on things and not really, I'm not saying they're not open-minded, but I'm just saying like I'm pretty open-minded with my dating experiences, and I'm not like desperate, like I'm not like dating people like this because of desperation. It's like I'm not just like I'll just get whatever, whatever comes my way. But, I weigh it out and I'm like, okay, like I've got time and energy for this, and I like this person, and this is worth it to me. And I feel like sometimes other people might feel like, oh, like maybe it's not worth it, or maybe, maybe you aren't like happy with how things are going. And I'm kind of like, a lot of times I'm chill with stuff. I'm chill with it. Like, yeah, sometimes you do want more. Sometimes I might want more. Sometimes I might want a different type of scenario, a different type of expected ending, a different type of, connection. But I still value those connections and relationships with people. So that's kind of the best that I can describe. And like I just I've been experiencing a lot of that lately. I've been noticing a lot lately that um, I'm kind of having uh, those types of experiences with these friends. Like I mentioned, I'm not mad at them. I'm not trying to mislead people into thinking that I'm doing things that I'm not doing. I'm not unhappy with, the choices I'm making and things like that. But I do feel like there can be pressure. There can definitely be that pressure to, try to conform and like get into a relationship that looks like the majority of other people's relationships. I feel like there is that pressure where I'm like, oh, like if I'm dating this person and then I tell my friends and then they're gonna like ask me about it, and then if they start realizing that like, oh, like, it's kind of like this other kind of thing, sometimes I get a little like, okay, I just, might not want to share too much after a certain point, and just, I'd rather keep it to myself just because, I don't really want, that. But yeah, that's just kind of how I see things. Um, I'm, you know, I'm definitely like enjoying, you know, kind of the relationships that I'm still like cultivating, maintaining. Like I'm not gonna act like to me it's not valid or to me it's not important, but there can be a little bit of um uh complicated dynamics when it comes to kind of integrating that with friendships or their kind of perspectives and opinions on those relationships. Um, just kind of the way I notice they mention it or they notice I talk about it, it's not really, and they see it maybe differently than I might. And then I also notice that, sometimes I'm a little like, um, I, I could be a little like, how do you say? Um, I don't want to say it's like a sensitivity necessarily. A little bit though. I think I'm a little sensitive about it. I'm not like hung up on it or anything, but it's kind of just something I'm noticing. No, I'm not gonna say all my friends think like that. There's just a few. And we kind of shared deeply on a lot of stuff. I mean, like I'm respectful of their relationships when they're solid with somebody. I'm not gonna. It's different than when they're casually dating, and I'll maybe ask more questions. But when I notice that they're with somebody, I respect their privacy in that relationship. I mean, I respect it regardless, but I'm a lot more like, I'm not going to ask my friends like if they're hooking up or whatever. Like, we don't talk about that. Like when there's an actual person that they've integrated our lives, into that friendship, so that we're all friends now, I tend to kind of back off a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like do that, Yeah. But yeah, if there's kind of like kind of like a it kind of goes both ways. But yeah, I mean, I do value being able to speak about relationships, being able to talk about relationships, having relationships, being just open about it. And they're respectful, I'm not saying my friends are like disrespectful or like criticizing me or anything like that. It's just I kind of notice their opinions, like the way they're interpreting it or the way they kind of try to reflect it back to me, and maybe I'm describing it in a way that like seems like I'm not happy, or maybe they assume I'm not happy. I can't tell which one it is. But yeah, I don't really feel unhappy with, the people I've met recently, that I've been involved with recently. I haven't felt like unhappy about it. Like there were some situations that have come up, of course, like there's little things that are like stressors sometimes that I've kind of talked to my friends about, but it wasn't anything that, I wasn't able to like work through either alone or with the other party. So, but yeah, so I guess that's kind of all I have to say about that. It's a lot to say, but I want to give you guys some episodes to go with because I haven't been posting for a while. So I'm trying to just back-to-back post right now. But with that, thanks for listening.